August beginner fly tying box. We have one of our flies, one of two flies actually. We're going to be doing the Shop Vac here for this video. The other pattern is our bead serendipity. You can catch that on another YouTube video as well. This one is one of our favorite tag flies for a Euro setup or as a dropper. Perfect for summertime fishing right now. If you're fishing hoppers or bigger dry flies, it's a great option to have. So kind of acts as an emerging bug coming off the bottom with the little white wing on it. It's one of my favorite patterns to have in my box. So go ahead and get started. We have a size 14 scud hook in the vise. This is a 2.8 copper brass bead. First thing we're going to tie in is our copper wire. And I'm just going to go ahead and tie that right to the side of the hook shank. I just want to keep that to the side. That'll help with the profile of the fly. As we wrap up our pheasant tail, there's not a weird wave in that wire there. So keep it, wherever you tie that wire in, keep it on that same spot. So whether you tie it in on the side or on the top. Next, we're going to tie in our pheasant tail. And I usually take just about 4 or 5 clumps of these pheasant tail fibers. Cut them as close to the stem as you can off that pheasant tail. And I'm actually going to trim the tips flush here. It just kind of helps. Those tips are pretty brittle, so I just want to get rid of those. And then I'll just tie this in right at the back end of my fly. Just do a loose gathering wrap. Grab that with my thread. And I can advance my thread forward to where I'm going to tie this pheasant tail off. So now I'm just going to start wrapping here with pheasant tail. You just want to make sure that that clump stays together, that one's not jumping out ahead of the others. Just want to keep them together. You can kind of twist them as you wrap, and that'll help keep them together. And you can see here as I turn each rotation, I just keep my left index finger on the back side of my hook. So if I slip out of my right hand, those pheasant tails don't unwind. I have a rotary vise, but if you have a rotary vise, it makes it a little bit quicker to do. I have one here. I'm just showing you how to do it without the rotary vise option. Just do one more turn here. Hold those pheasant tail fibers straight up in the air. Bring my bobbin up and over with my left hand 2 times just to help keep those pheasant tail fibers from coming undone. And I just give it a good tug down, just pull down straight. One more wrap there. And then I'll trim out the excess. Now you can cover up any of those ends here and make sure it's nice and secure. Okay, from here we're just going to take our wire and we're going to wrap the opposite direction now. So I'm going to start by coming up and under the hook. And I'm just going to make some nice, even, segmented wraps with this wire. You should have about 4 or 5 wraps showing in the body on this size 14 hook. I usually shoot for 4. I don't know why, that's just what I've always done. Okay, then once I get up here, I've wrapped up where I'm going to be covering this wire anyways. Just bring my thread up and over it. And then cross it again, just kind of making an X in that wire. I take an old pair of scissors, or you can helicopter it off. I just like to take an old pair of scissors, trim it as close to the thread as you can, and then I just mash down that little wire nub sticking up so it doesn't catch your thread and snap it. Okay, so now we're ready to do our wing, or our little casing. This is kind of the air sac of the fly, if you will, that coming up off the bottom, kind of showing the fish that it's an emerging insect. And what I'm shooting here, you can use any type of material. You can use foam, you can use deer hair, like we do on the serendipity. This is just polypropylene yarn here. I usually shoot for something that's about the width of the bead when I have it tight together. So that's kind of the thickness I'm looking for. So that's just about right there. And I'll just tie that right on top of the hook. Just make sure it's not rolling down off the side. If it is, you can just pick it up and move it where you need it so it gets back in place. And I'll just bring my thread forward to just behind the bead. And now I can trim it as close as I can. And you have a little bit of some nubs there. We'll just sink those down underneath the bead there. Okay, now we're ready for our last part of this fly. Once you get tying these go really quick. You can fill up a box pretty good, and it's not a bad fly to have a bunch of. So do them in a bunch of different colors too: olive pheasant tail, purple pheasant tail, really whatever you want to do. I take 2 pieces of peacock strand here, peacock herl, and I'm going to tie these in by the butt section there where I just trimmed them off. I just try to keep them just right to the side. And I'm just going to fill in this gap behind the bead and in front of that little wing right there. Shouldn't take more than a few wraps here to fill that in. I don't worry too much if that peacock one strand jumps ahead of the other here, because the other one will just pick up the slack and fill it in. So that's all it really takes right there. So at this point, this fly is done. Just need to wrap down this peacock. A few good tight turns there. Trim that off as close as you can, and then we're ready to whip finish and move on to the next one. So again, guys, this is a really good one. Make sure you trim your wing. I'll trim it here in just a sec. But this is a great fly to use all year, I think. I've had good success all year round with it. Let us know how you do. Leave us a comment if you like this fly, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page to enjoy more videos, guys. Thanks a lot.